Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you back to Young Martin's Reels. Today's project is going to be this South Bend Classic 935. Now, I've had this reel in my possession for a while now. Matter of fact, if you look at it, it says that I got it from Ken back in August of 2023. So that means I've been sitting on it for about 6 months. And I'm going to see if I can't go ahead and get it cleaned up and get it moved on out. And see how we do. So let's start off. Let's see. Let's do a quick operational check first. We don't have anti-reverse. We're in anti-reverse override, I'm assuming. We're going to flip that switch. And we still have no anti-reverse. Okay, so we're going to have to see if we can't get that freed up and working again. So no anti-reverse. Let's see if the bail will flip. Guess what? This bail is so warped that it's hitting the spool. So that's going to take some work to get that adjusted. Let's wind it around, bring it down. Okay, now we'll put it back. And it hits, but it does not trip and flip. So let's see. This one has a bail trip pin. And we're going to push that pin in and see if the bail trips. It does not. Okay. Yeah, that bail is very, very stiff. It's bent up. And we will have to see what we can do about realigning and adjusting that. All right, the next thing, let's see, oscillation. The axle is moving the spool up and down, so the crosswind system works. The reel spins fairly easily. So let's start getting into this and see what we can find. We're gonna start off by taking off the spool. Got that off. And let's take a look at what we got here. Can we see the button? No, the pin that comes out to lock in the button. Let's see if it moves on its own or if it, let's see. Bring it over. Okay, it does move freely, so it pops up into the hole. So that's good. But apparently when it just rotates around, it is not able to pop back over. All right, so we'll have to see about freeing that up, getting that to operate. And this reel was made in Japan. And yeah, if you look at this bail, it's way twisted over to the side. We've got a really crusty looking line roller that does not move at all. So I'm hoping that we can get that freed up and cleaned up. And let's see if we can break the handle loose. Okay, the handle comes loose easily enough. That's good. Okay. It's got a cup on here that seems to stay in place. It doesn't come off. You could probably unscrew it if you really wanted to. But we're going to leave that in place. Make sure not to lose it. All right. I've got a little bit of corrosion going on here. I wonder if this will unscrew out of here. No, I don't want to snap it off. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and lubricate that good. Make sure some of that oil is going down inside the handle. And maybe one day enough of that oil will seep down into things to free up this to where it could be unscrewed. But for now, we're just going to leave it in place. There we go. Set that over to the side. And we have 2 screws holding the side plate on. So I'm going to go ahead and break both of those loose. Wow, it's really tight once it breaks free. So that means there's something going on with the screws. Yeah, see the corrosion coming out of there. Let's get back to my favorite screwdriver instead of that one. A lot of corrosion down inside there. Now we're going to try to dissolve some of that corrosion about putting some WD-40 in each of those holes. Okay, see if we can pop the cover off of this. There we go. Hey, this is nice. This is a worm gear reel. Chris, you ought to like this reel a lot then, because you do like worm gear reels. All right, let's turn this around and let's get rid of some of this excess grease that's caked up in here. All right, I think that's got most of the excess grease out. Now, let's see what we're going to need to do to take this loose. Looks like it's just got a pin right here that's going to come out. There we go. A pin, and see if the axle shaft will come out at that point. There we go. Axle shaft comes out. It doesn't have any flats or anything on it, so that's good. Let's go ahead at this point and see about taking this nut off. It appears to be a 10 millimeter. Just dropped my nut driver. All right, I'm back with my nut driver. See if I got the right one. I did. Okay, this one's going to be reverse threaded, so it unscrews to the right instead of to the left. And off comes the rotor, and the nut is still inside there. There we go. There's the nut and the washer, and here is our rotor. And this nut rotor is going to need some help. We're going to spend some time on that. Okay, this pin is just operated this way. It's spring loaded. It pops out like that. There's the spring for it. And when it rotates around, it hits this ramp or this post right here, and that's going to force this down, which should release this bail and allow it to trip, but it's not doing that right now. So we're going to come back to that in a little while. In the meantime, let's go ahead and see what we can do over here. All right. Let's see if we can remove this gear. It should just come right out, I would assume. It looks like it should. There we go. This comes right on out. Don't lose this shim washer that we got on this side over here. And there's no need to take that apart, although there's a C-clip there and a C-clip there. So if you need to take that apart, it's just a C-clip on there. There's one on there, and you can take those pieces apart. I'm going to suggest you leave them together. And this is going to be one of the few times, because that is so simple to undo those and put them back, I'm not going to bother to take that off. We'll just clean it right where it's at because of the simplicity of it. All right, now we're coming back to here. Let's see what we can find out with our anti-reverse. We got it right now. The anti-reverse, there's anti-reverse override. That should lock it over out of place. There's anti-reverse, but nothing is happening. Okay. Here's our anti-reverse left dog. Okay, it's supposed to pop over and catch like that. Okay, it's just gummed up with stuff in there. So we'll clean that up, and I think that'll make that work again. Maybe the spring's broken, but I don't think so. It looks like it's all there and intact. So we're going to take out these 3 screws. I'm going to loosen them with a common. And then we're going to come back and remove them with a Phillips. All 3 of those screws are the same. We'll put them into a pile over here, out of the way, and let's see if we can, there we go. We're able to pull the pinion bearing out. There's that worm gear pinion shaft. Set that over there with those, and there's our bearing, and the bearing needs to be cleaned, obviously. It's sealed on the outside. It is open on the inside, and that's going to take some time and a little effort to scrub and clean all that up. There is a shim washer, it appears, right here. Stuck to, well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a collar. Okay, that's not. All right, no shim washer. All right. Now let's go back here to the anti-reverse and see if we can spray this with a little WD-40 and maybe break it loose. All right, now you've seen me spray that down and get it working. And then all I'm going to do is come back with a cotton swab and clean out the excess oil and grease that's in here. And now let's see how well this works. Look there, anti-reverse is working fine. All right, let's see if we can see how the spring is set in this. All right, we've got 2 sets of springs in here. I'm going to blow this up and hopefully remember to come back. All right, so we've got 2 sets of springs in here. One is for the arm right here. And if you look, there's a little tag end right there. See that tag end? Okay, that hooks there and goes down and around this spring, and it wraps around it probably twice, but it may be only once. Now it looks like it's twice. It wraps around the screw twice, or the boss that the screw is screwed into, and then ends up against the wall over here. So you have to set that back in place like that. That's how it goes. This other one is not a wrap. It wraps around once, but that is the one that holds this in tight. And if you look, when we flip the lever here, there we go. That pushes up against that, and now that can't go in. Our anti-reverse won't move in. Okay. Why does it look like this is not moving? I think we still got a stuck part here, folks. I think we do. We do. This piece is not doing like it's supposed to do. So, looks like we are going to take this apart. Because this piece is supposed to pivot like that. See that? That's what that spring was supposed to do. It's supposed to move that over. And it didn't, like that. And see if we can free it up without taking it all apart. Starting to move more. But it's still sticking. It should slap back up against that part as soon as I let go of it there. So we're going to have to take this off, this E-clip. So I'm going to stay in close while we try to take that off. All right, there's the E-clip off. There's the spring. See the spring under the E-clip right there? All right, we're going to pull this down to take some of the tension off of the spring. And then I'm going to hook onto the spring and lift it out there, up and out like that. All right, now that spring actually does wrap around the base. There we go. And now, let's see if I can pull this anti-reverse lever out. I'm going to spray a little bit more WD-40 in here. Right here. And I'm going to take this stiff bristle brush . See if we can get some of the old caked up grease off of there. And then again, All right, now let's see if I can pull it out. There we go. That got it out. Okay, now this one is spring loaded up. See how it trips over? Now that wouldn't do that earlier. So now we're going to clean this up a little bit in here. Get this rust and corrosion off of there. And I'm going to hit this arm or post right here a little bit and see if we can. It's got a slit cut in it for that clip to go in. Let's see if we can clean this up a little bit and get it to where it will allow that arm to slide on and off easily. Let's see now. We're going to take a wire brush to this one. And we'll see if it will fit well on the post now. There we go. Okay, now it's moving freely. I'm going to go ahead. WD-40 doesn't last long, so I'm going to go ahead and add some oil there. And we're going to put this spring back in now. And this is one we don't want to have shoot off on us. So let's grab a hold of it. Set it in place like that. And then I'm going to grab hold of this tag end down here, this end of it, right here. I'm going to set that in there, and I'm going to grab hold of this tag end, and I'm going to pull this up and drop it in behind that cam, like that. Push that side of it down. Okay. No, we're not far enough back. It's still got to go behind that lever right there. Okay, so I'm going to grab it once again. Lift it up. Now it's behind there. Now it moves freely and does what it's supposed to do. However, it's trying to pop off. There we go. Slide that down. And I think we're ready at this point to put this E-clip back on. Back down inside the hole. And I dropped it. Okay. There we go. E-clip is snapped back into the groove. There. And now our anti-reverse is functioning like it's supposed to. Okay, we should be able to flip this lever, and that should lock it so that it can't go. And we bring it this way, and it should fall back over, and we have anti-reverse again. Okay, let's go ahead and add some oil to this side over here. And let's set this back in for a minute. Haven't cleaned it yet. Let's set this back in and test it. See if it's doing what it's supposed to do. It doesn't look like it is. Okay, there it is. There's anti-reverse. Okay, perfect. There's anti-reverse override. See, the lever pushes it over out of the way so it can't impact. Bring it back. There it goes. And we have anti-reverse again. Okay. That's got that. We're going to take this on apart and clean it up now. I'm going to clean all these parts up. But before we do, let's go ahead and dismantle this rotor. Screw this, bring this back out like so. Which part of this should be spring loaded? I don't know. We're going to start off though by trying to break this free up here. Let's see what we got here. There we go, perfect. All right, that's a 5.5 millimeter wrench. We're going to unscrew that and unscrew that. Now, it's not nearly as bad, but see how misshapen it is? How it's way over to the side? We're going to have to adjust this. But let's see if that... Okay, now there is a spring. This side is spring loaded. It's just grease bound. All right. How about this side? How does it feel? It feels crusty. It doesn't feel grease bound. It just feels a little bit crusty. All right. So we're going to see if this one will come out. Sometimes these will come out at the side. This one does not. Okay. That being the case, let's get a screwdriver. Let's take this one off of this side. There is a spring under here. There's no sign of it. Doesn't feel like it. Okay, it's got a Teflon shim in it. Yeah, there's what's binding it up. See all that old dirt, sand, and corrosion? Yeah, we'll clean all that out of there. Okay. Yeah, we'll make that part function better. All right, now this part over here has got a spring. It's really grease choked. So let's go ahead now and take this side apart. Now see, that side's pushing out. It's pushing against us. Okay. There's the spring. All right, well, that is a really, really nasty looking spring. I don't think that's going to last long. So, on this job, I'm going to attempt to make one of those for the first time. I don't know how successful I'll be. Well, you know what? I might have one in a box over here. I've got a box full of spare parts. All right, that part's free and flows easily. All right, now this one went into a hole. There's the hole right there. Okay, so that spring just goes into a hole. That's the hard part, is getting it back into that hole. Okay, yeah, we'll deal with that as we get to it. All right, in the meantime, I need to get all these parts cleaned up, and when we come back, hopefully we'll be dealing with clean parts and maybe a new spring. I don't know. We'll see what I got. This one's pretty nasty looking. Parts have mostly been cleaned now, and there was a bit of touch-up paint I did on this just because there was some corrosion right along this edge right here, and we had a lot of paint loss right here and on the foot right here. So all I did was just touch those spots just a little bit with a little bit of spray paint. I'm not doing a repaint on this thing or trying to hide too much. I just want to protect the bare metal that's on it. So while that's drying up, let's go ahead and take care of this spool. We're going to go ahead and unscrew the end off of the spool. Okay, that's just a little dirty, but aside from that, it's fine. Okay, the bottom core comes out like so. We're going to have to clean that rust out of there. And we are going to, oh, I hate when they do this. If you ever get the chance to do one of these, never ever put the spring so that it ends just before the hole. It makes it very, very difficult to get these springs back out. Let's see if I can get it to spin around a little bit. There we go. Yeah, if you can get the spring over to the side where you can get behind it to take the spring out, then you're much better off. Sometimes those will not turn in the hole. All right, there we go. There's the spring out. Let's take our drag washers out and see how bad off they are. All right, and this looks like a typical drag stack. What do we got here? We have a felt washer, a keyed washer, a felt washer. This should be an eared washer, and it is. A felt washer and a keyed washer. Okay, a little spritz of WD-40 on this, and a little bit of work with the scrub brush. And I think this is going to look just fine again. All right, let's wipe it off with a cloth. And a little WD-40 here also. And wipe that off, and it looks good too. Now, I normally don't show much in the way of cleaning things, but I am going to show this. These felt washers, the way I clean these up, they tend to get old grease caked up in them. And what I do with them, and it's fairly simple and basic, is I'll just spray some WD-40 on them. Let it soak for a few seconds. And then I just take and work them around on a wooden board. Okay, flip it over, do the same thing to the other side. Press it in between a rag, and now you've got a clean felt washer that's ready to go and be used again. Set all those washers up there. They'll be ready to go back together. Now we're ready to start reassembling this. I think the paint's dry enough now I can handle it without messing it up. We're going to start off by putting in our pinion, which is a worm gear. We're going to start off by putting some grease on the worm gear. And then we've got our bearing. And our bearing was greased, but I like to oil bearings because it makes the reel feel a lot faster, a lot less stress on trying to get it moving. So I oil it good. It's sealed on the outside. And that's ready to slide back into the hole. Like that. That done, we can go ahead and install the bearing retainer. Get all 3 screws started before you're tightening any of them all the way up. All right, now remember we had corrosion in these holes, and I sprayed WD-40 in there. I also sprayed some air down in there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back and add oil into those holes, and if there's any trash inside there, hopefully it will come out at this point. Now we're ready to put the main gear back in, and don't forget it's got this shim washer, which is actually a spring-loaded shim washer. Let's put a little bit of grease on the back here just to hold that shim washer in place. I'm going to put oil on the shaft of the gear of the crankshaft. And then I'm going to, well, let's go ahead. Since it's going to be a little difficult to get to it inside there, let's go ahead and grease the main gear, the teeth on the main gear. Let's slide it in. And there we go. And at that point, we're ready to start putting our rotor back together. Let's get to our rotor and let's see what we're going to have to do to get this bale in the proper shape. First off, it shouldn't have this weird oblong shape to it. It should be more of a straight over here. Let's see if we can straighten some of that out. Okay. Yeah, let's get see if we can't get it to go straight out a little bit more and then make its turn. All right. Now, this over here, there's a big exaggerated bend over here. So let's go ahead and take some of that out as well. That's a little better, I think. This should pivot slightly in there. Not much, just a little bit. Okay. All right. It's a more even arch now when we pull it in to bend to fit. It should hopefully follow a more natural arc, and that should hopefully clear the rest of it. So I think we've got that pretty close there. Now we've got this part, we just got to come over, and it's got a hook on here. Let's see if I can figure out which way this is supposed to be. Let's see. That's gonna click back this way. Comes down. It's gonna hit right there. Okay, so that's gonna be its up position. All right. So we've got to get this hooked in that hole. See the wire? That's got the hook through that hole in the spring. There we go. And then it's going to come around. Now when it comes around, it's got to come past this white block like that. And then we got to get the screw to go in. Okay, so we got to try to hold it like that while we put the screw in. All right, seems that we got the spring cleaned up. And what I did on that spring, I just cleaned all the rust off of it. Once the rust was off of it, it wasn't pitted like I thought it was. So I just cleaned it up and put it back in. We're going to add oil here and here, so that will snap back nicely. All right. We're going to come over to this side where this pin is. And we're going to put a little bit of oil here. And we're going to put some oil right here where the pin's going to go in and out of the hole, like so. And I think, yeah, you could actually pull that if you wanted to, I think. I'm not going to, but you could. There we go. Now let's put a little bit on the bar here where it slides in and out of the plastic. Okay. Now, this part that attaches on that side has got this Teflon washer over here. So we're going to set the Teflon washer in place. Now let's go ahead and set this in the hole like that. That's how we're going to know. Let's see, we got it upside down? Yeah, we got it upside down. It's going to go like that. There we go. And if you look, the hole that the pin goes into is beveled on one side to make it snap in and out easier. So we set this back over here, set the bevel down over the top of the pin, set it down, take the screw and screw it in. Okay, now we've got to trip the pin to get it to come out. There we go. It's got that. Now we've got to maneuver and adjust this to where this is going to go in here. Okay. So first off, it appears that this arm is way away from where it needs to be. Let's see here. So let's start off by trying to bring this around. Let's see. It does not want to move. There we go. That got it to twist. Okay. See how close we are now. We're getting much closer to where it needs to be. This side over here, we're going to shape this in a little bit this way. We still got a little bit of that oblong weirdness that we don't want. Okay. We're getting closer. Okay, we've got to get, this is our roller, and it's going to go in like so. And I managed to clean that up a lot. That was really rusty, if you remember. And we're going to put some oil on that inside and out. And the way I cleaned that up is I put it on a ice pick and put it on my bench grinder and with the wire wheel and spun it around, and that cleaned it up quite nicely actually. All right, now where's our nut? There it is. We're going to put this side on and work on adjusting the other side now. still way too much pressure on it. See, it's still binding. So let's go ahead now and take this side back loose. And see if we can adjust it. See, it's only this pressure of this being held out that's keeping it from working properly. So we just need to get it bent in enough and over enough. Getting closer. Okay, now let's see if we can pull it down a little bit. And that might be it. Let's give it a shot. Bring this around, lock the pin in. Let's put the screw in the hole. See what happens when we hit the trip pin. There we go. Okay, works fine. Now we're ready to put that rotor back on. I'll set it in place. We're going to have to hold the pinion up and line up the flats on the pinion to the flats on the rotor. Slide that down. Then we've got this big washer, thick washer, goes on. And then this nut, remember it's reverse threaded. Put the flatted side down, the rounded side goes up. Tighten down the nut. And now, let's see if it trips like it's supposed to. Come around, rotate it. When it hits the pin, it trips over. There we go. The next part to be installed is going to be this axle. We're going to oil the axle shaft. Slide it in. And then it's going to go into this crosswind block. And we just have to line that up, get it to line up. And once it's in the hole for the pin, let's make sure it's lined up properly. I use my ice pick for that. There we go. Got it lined up properly. You should be able to drop the pin in. Not drop it in, but set it in place. Push it in. There we go. Let's go ahead and grease up the face where the crosswind block rides. And let's put a little grease onto the anti-reverse dogs, or the cog, right there. Let's see if we've got that right now. Okay, there's anti-reverse is in override. Let's put it into anti-reverse mode that way. There we go, there's our anti-reverse. All working again. Now we're going to put the side cover on. Put the 2 screws in. Now let's rebuild the spool. We've got the spool itself, we've got the center hub for it. We're going to go ahead and put a drop of oil on this coil spring to help keep it from corroding. And we're going to put a drop of oil around the head of the clicker. Flip it around a few times. Stand by. All right, I had to clean that up a little bit. We're going to put a little bit of grease onto this drag washer. Not much, a little bit. Wipe the excess off. Slide that into the spool until it engages the clicker, like that. Now we're going to set in our felt drag washer. Tuck it down in there. I'm going to give it 3 drops of oil. Then I'm going to install the keyed washer. Slide it in. Install my next felt drag washer. Slide it down. Give it 3 drops of oil. Put in the eared washer. I call it that because of 2 little ears on each side that fit into these slots on each side. And we're going to put in the final drag washer. Tuck it down in. Give it 3 more drops of oil. And install the final keyed washer. Install the drag knob. Tighten it down. Oh, nope, we got one more thing to do. Stand by. Install the locking plate. Now remember, I told you not to put the ends of this near these 2 slots. So let's move the end over a little away from the slot. Set it down on the table. And let's work that in so that the locking ring goes down. Like so. And now, you see at the end, if we need to take that spring out, or right at the end, where we can just hook that and pop that spring out. Now we're going to put the drag knob back on, tighten it down a little bit anyway. We'll take the spool, slide it onto the rotor, it snaps in place. Take our handle, screw it back on. And now let's see what we have for a rear. Okay. Fail trips, does what it's supposed to. Anti-reverse is working. Anti-reverse override functions. And we have drag. Okay, good drag. All right, there you have the South Bend Classic 935 spinning reel. I do hope that you liked this video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button. Tell me what it is you didn't like about it. Oh, hang on. I'm going to clean this knob up just a hair. Give me my toothbrush here. It's just a little faded, I think. I don't think it's dirty. I think it's just a little faded. Get a little WD-40 in it, brighten it up a little bit. There we go. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Tell me what you didn't like. And for now, that's Rick Stivers with YoungMartin'sReels signing out.